Welcome to part 3 of the Pokemon Rabbit Hole series. We've already discussed crazy conspiracies surrounding the phone app Pokemon Go, as well as theories about the wider universe of Pokemon altogether. But this is a fandom that has existed for decades, and the theories haven't stopped. Today, let's dive into even more conspiracies about the Pokemon world. This is the Crafty Cryptid, a channel dedicated to the eerie, the chilling, and the bizarre. If you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe and ding the notification bell. I post new videos every week. If you thought the theories we covered in the last video on this topic were dark, wait until you hear what we have to talk about today. Theory number 1. Everyone becomes a ghost. Everyone. The world of Pokemon can actually be pretty dark, from literal graveyards in the video games that are haunted by the dead to unsettling Pokédex entries. It's kind of disturbing why a world marketed to children would be so macabre. One of these terrible Pokédex entries for the Pokemon Yamask says that Yamask are actually former humans that resurrect as Pokemon after they die, but they are still holding their living faces as reminders of the humanity they once had. Creepy, right? Especially if you consider the theory that humans could actually be another species of Pokemon. But the creep factor doesn't end there. Duskull are the spirits of dead children who haunt living children that behave poorly, and Phantumps are stumps possessed by the spirits of children who died in the forest. Rather than being a different species of Pokemon, could ghost types actually just be dead humans? Number 2. Mimikyu is actually a dead Dedenne. For those of you who haven't heard about Mimikyu, it already has a heart-wrenching Pokédex entry. It's a ghost-type Pokemon that wears a disguise so that it doesn't terrify people and kill them from fright. It's incredibly lonely and quite vengeful toward anyone who breaks its disguise. Dedenne is a Pokemon that was introduced in the X and Y games and series. The argument here is that the height and weight of Mimikyu more closely matches Dedenne, and Dedenne was already a Pikachu clone in life, so it goes into death still wishing it could be the most popular Pokemon. Number 3. You are a murderer. Yes, you heard that right. In the Red and Blue games, your character eventually arrives at a city called Lavender Town. In the middle of this city is a large tower called Pokemon Tower, which is essentially one massive cemetery for dead Pokemon. There are a number of creepy things that happen in the Pokemon Tower, but facing off with your rival, Blue, shouldn't have been one of them. Until you realize that the precious Raticate your rival had been using throughout the entire game is no longer with him. Previous to arriving in Lavender Town, your character encounters Blue on the SS Anne, where he demands a Pokemon battle. After you win the battle, you get to move on with your mission. But what you don't know is that you might have actually killed Blue's Raticate. That's where this theory comes in. It suggests that when you fought Blue on the SS Anne, he couldn't get to a Pokemon Center in time to save his Raticate because he was stuck on a boat. He then goes to Lavender Town to bury his dead Pokemon at the Pokemon Tower and pulls you into another battle out of anger and heartbreak. This theory is pretty dark, and there's no real proof for it being true, but it is curious that Blue's Raticate just so happens to never show up again. Number 4. Pokemon is a post-nuclear war apocalypse utopia. This might be my favorite theory out of all of the theories, because I could honestly see it being true, and it gives a lot of artistic license to fan artists and fanfic writers alike. Did you ever think it was odd that mothers all over the world let their children wander around and catch dangerous creatures that have the power to literally end the world? Or why there never seems to be any government? Or where those little magic pocket monsters came from in the first place? One theory suggests that the whole reason the Pokemon world exists is because of a long past nuclear war. Some think that when the war happened, all the educated and upper-class people survived in fallout shelters and bunkers, and when the radiation dissipated, almost all of the criminals and warmongers were dead. The only ones that seemed to be around are silly, themed villains who are easily beaten by children in every battle. And the Pokemon themselves? They're all mutated versions of animals and plants that existed before the fallout. Piggybacking off of theory number 4 comes number 5. Why you can never find starter Pokemon in the wild. When you're playing the video games, your character begins their Pokemon journey with a starter that is gifted to you from your local Pokemon professor. But after you choose who you're going to begin your journey with, you cannot find the other species in the wild. Why is that when every other Pokemon exists in the wild? This theory supposes that long ago, after the nuclear war, starter Pokemon like Charmander, Totodile, and Turtwig were all actually very common, and quickly became sought-after companions for many of the survivors of the fallout due to their intelligence and magical abilities. Pretty soon, they became too popular and were hunted nearly to extinction. By the time Pokemon Red and Blue come out, these starters are nearly impossible to find anywhere, except within controlled breeding programs only available to Pokemon scientists like Professor Oak. Last but not least, number 6. Your father died in the war. Though Pokemon never explicitly states that nuclear weapons were used, it is common knowledge that war was, at least at one time, part of the Pokemon universe. In the Red and Blue video games, you face off with a gym leader who is a veteran of war. Lieutenant Surge mentions it in his flavor text before the battle. Quote, "Hey kid, what do you think you're doing here? You won't live long in combat, not with your puny power. I tell you kid, electric Pokemon saved me during the war. They zapped my enemies into paralysis, the same as I'll do to you." Unquote. According to Lieutenant Surge, Pokemon were involved in whatever war did happen in the region's past. The theory that your father died in this war comes from the fact that your character in Red and Blue doesn't have a father. Could it be that he was conscribed into the Pokemon military and died before he could ever get to meet you? What has your favorite Pokemon theory been so far? Have you heard any others that I haven't mentioned? Leave them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. To be notified when I post next, click subscribe and ding the notification bell. I post new videos every week. Thanks for watching, and come back soon, Cryptids.